learning how to be present in every situation in life, to experience it so that I can find joy. I can see God's purpose. Hello, it's Dr. Phyllis Hayes Reams, otherwise known as Dr. Phyllis, and I want to welcome you back to the Overwhelmed to Resilient podcast. Today is episode number 11, and I'm posing to you the question: is contentment the same as happiness? I want you to think for a minute. How do you define contentment? How do you define happiness? How do you know you're happy? Have you ever felt happy? Are you happy? All over, we see people asking the question about happiness and wanting to talk to us. If you do just these three things, you'll find happiness. And I want to challenge your thinking today. I looked in the dictionary and looked up the meaning of contentment. And contentment is the state of being happy and satisfied. Then I looked up the meaning of happiness. It also means to be content, to feel happy. And I went deeper into another source to look at happiness. And again, the same words. And I remember so much of my past years have been spent like in search of happiness. And I think that was somehow ingrained in my push for goal setting and achievement and looking for this ultimate definition that I've arrived, and that means happiness. Can you relate to that? Does that sound familiar to you? Where you've just been searching for this ideal state, which means that, again, that you've arrived and that you're that, or you're him, you're her, right? And over time, I've come to realize that happiness, or to be happy, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just more of a fleeting, a short term, a emotion. It's basically an emotion that comes. Now, for some of us, we can say, I am so happy. And that's usually in response to something that's happened or something someone has said, because we feel that joy, that high, right? Of excitement in response to that. But it's fleeting. Once that situation, either it's old news or it's over, that's over, right? And so to me, happiness is something that is there. Again, it's nothing wrong with it. It is a valid emotion, but that's what it is. It's an emotion. It's a reactive emotion to something that crops up in life. I really feel that we should be working towards contentment. And contentment involves being able to experience happiness. And as I always talk about, to experience joy and the satisfaction, the comfort, the ability to be present and finding meaning in whatever season that we're in. And I've shared with you one of my favorite scriptures, Philippians 4:11. I love Philippians. It's just a great the letter to the Philippian church that Paul wrote. But in Philippians 4:11, he talks about, I've learned to be content in whatever season I find myself. And that's really what I say. Many times people say, Phyllis, how are you doing? And I'm going to tell you, life may be going crazy, or I just may be really stretched because I help care for a family member. I'm working, which I love. I love caring for my family member. I love doing my work in the community. I love taking care of my family, being there for my kids. They're adult children, but we still have a role to play, being a wife. All of that's important, but there's times you get overstretched. And yet I have been able to find a contentment in that, a satisfaction in that, so that I don't want to focus so much on this ideal world that I'm searching for. Let me unpack that, because I know that didn't come out as clear as I wanted it to. Learning to be content, just as that definition said, is finding joy in the simple things. It's finding joy in what may seem not exciting. It's every day. That's really what it is. It's every day being able to find something of joy. It's being present. And I think for me, that's been the key, is learning how to be present in every situation in life, to experience it so that I can find joy. I can see God's purpose with me in that situation, so that every day I can count a blessing. That's really what it comes down to. So that, yes, I do have those times when something happens, like my daughter has a big win in life. I'm happy to hear that, or my husband, or another family member, or my son has a great thing happen. That's happiness. Or I meet a certain goal I had for myself, or I can see where I'm getting stronger in a certain area of life. I'm happy about that. But along with that, even when I don't have these extreme situations, so to speak, right? Every day I count it joy. Every day I'm present. And you keep hearing me say presence. And that is something that is close to my heart, because that was the game changer in my life, that took me from feeling like I was looking for something. I was looking for validation. I was looking for this feeling like I had arrived, and I kept chasing it, and which ended up in being overcommitted, overstretched, exhausted. But yet I wasn't happy. I wasn't content. And again, it's really, I couldn't experience the happiness, which is right what we talked about, well, medicine we say cute, right? Those sudden events. I couldn't even enjoy that, because I was so depleted by being overstretched and life living me, instead of me being able to say, here I am at this moment. What can I count a blessing? And be able to change my vision and how I viewed things that were happening around me. Enjoying the moment of talking to someone, random in line while I'm waiting for something. I've learned to be content. One example of this is I was recently in the store at lunch. I had taken a lunch break. I do home care, as you know, along with my coaching business. And I was taking a lunch break between home visits, and I stopped at the store to grab some lunch because, I try. I don't do fast food unless it fits within my eating. It's just because I've just learned I have to eat healthy just to keep me going with everything I have to do in life. And I recently chose to I had really cut down on meat and carbs, but because that's one of my things that that I love bread, but I've cut back on that. But I just kinda made a choice that I would eat plant-based, not because I'm one of those people that, I have to be around people who are plant-based. It's just a personal choice I made, and for my own health because I needed it just, to feel better with everything that I'm trying to accomplish, and it really has made a difference, for me. But I also can sit next to someone and enjoy. My family eats meat. I cook meat for them, but I don't eat it, and that's okay. Everyone has a choice. So it's similar, just like happiness. Happiness is not only a short-term thing. What creates happiness for one person is not the same as someone else. What makes me happy is not necessarily the same thing that makes someone else happy, you know? So it does vary. But back to my story. So I was into the store and so I still had time, I was taking a 30-minute break during the day and the reason I was telling you about being going to the store is I hadn't packed my lunch, and so I needed to get something that still stuck, was not stuck, but was aligned, with my eating plan. So I was able to go in and get a really great vegetable soup and a, plant-based salad, and so I was in line, basically, and a lady I only had a couple items because it was just for lunch, and the lady said, "Why don't you go ahead of me? I have less, you have less, item, you have fewer items." And I said, "No, no, no, I'm good." She said, "You sure?" I said, "No, I'm good. I have time, and I've learned to be content. I'm enjoying just this 5 minutes to allow you to go ahead and get your items taken care of. Thank you so much for your willingness, but I'm good because I've learned to be content, which means I can find joy in quiet. I can find joy in watching people. I'm a big people watcher. Um, I think both my parents were people watchers. We just didn't watch people, and I think that's where I've also just picked up a sensitivity of connecting with people because we just watch people and we see we actually have more in common than we don't. But I'm good. I just I the old Phyllis would have been, oh my God, I gotta run, I gotta run, I gotta run, I gotta run. Even though I had the time. Oh well, I could get a couple more phone calls in, I could try to do some more charting or whatever it is. But this is my designated lunch break. And infrequently do I take the break, but in that moment, I'm good. And so contentment is it's yes, it's satisfaction. I think though that contentment means being present and being able to take advantage of a moment to feel reflective, to feel alive, allow yourself to feel alive, to open your eyes to see what's around, to open your ears to see what's around, and to connect with God. Often people see satisfaction as settling. And I don't think that it's necessarily settling. Satisfied, I think in this term is I'm good. I'm good. I'm good that I'm in this moment. I'm going to take advantage of this moment to feel alive, to just look around, watch some people, not rush, let my brain be quiet for a moment, prepare for the next task. And in this case, my next work related visit. So I'm emotionally present for that patient and their family because I allowed myself to have a brain break. And then also to eat my lunch and nourish my body and take a moment to invest in my own resilience. That's really what it is. So, contentment, I feel, should be our goal. Learning to be content when life seems out of control or people don't do what we think they should do, or we feel that we're coming up against challenges because happy is fleeting. There's nothing wrong with it, but we have to be so careful chasing happy. We should be, I won't even say chasing because I don't like that. I think that chasing does not seem intentional. And I wouldn't even say searching because that also is like we're searching and we're just our mind's not in the game. We're just searching, we're wandering and searching. No. I think it's creating an atmosphere, a lifestyle that ignites contentment. And also, it helps us ignite our resilience, our ability to live our life, as I've always said, with intention, so that we can have joy in the little things. So we can laugh, we can cry, we can be quiet, we can talk, we can be loud, we can be ourselves. That's that's what we should always have in the tank, is the search for contentment. Many of my friends will tell you I'm always talking, I guess talking in terms of things in life about like a car. I guess because I spend so much time in my car, is you always ideally want some gas in the tank. Because the worst thing is to jump in the car and get ready to drive and there's no gas in the tank. So you always want to have something in your gas tank. And so to me, contentment is the ability to be settled in your soul, which means to know that even though life will try to make us doubt that God's got us, that we can be content in no matter what. We can be content to know that we have the tools to make it through. Because we know God's got us. And then by investing in our mental health, in our spiritual health, and our physical health, that we can make it. And all that goes into this feeling of contentment. We're in whatever situation we find ourselves in. It doesn't mean we won't experience concern or it feels scary, or we may experience even some doubt. We may have our faith tested, but down in our soul, we know that God's got our back. And that's where that contentment comes from. And it takes some learning, because for many of us, we've just been conditioned, especially as women, we have to be better than. We're trying to make sure we're being the best Christian woman, we're being the best wife or girlfriend or the mom or the caregiver or the daughter. We're always, trying to be the best. We're trying, And there's nothing wrong with that. We want to be the best. We want to live within our purpose and fulfill who God has created us to be. And we also have to learn how to create a space of contentment and peace and joy within all of that. And we can't wait for other people, human beings, flesh and blood, to create those situations or those relationships. We have to first start within ourselves, and then we go outward to surround ourselves with like-minded, like-spirited people. No, you can't control every situation, be it interpersonal or at work. But by investing within yourself and having your close-knit circle of people who are like-minded, it makes a world of difference. Because when you're out there on that island of despair by yourself and you start feeling lonely and alienated, and then you start feeling maybe somewhat paranoid that everyone's out to get you, it's not a good place. But when you're able to do the work, the personal work, and get with one or more people who understand where you're coming from, and as you're developing yourself so that you learn to just enjoy where you're at, to be content, to be satisfied more, not as stuck, like I'm just going to satisfy for that. No, but that you can look and find something to be grateful for. You can turn the light on when life seems dark. You can laugh in the midst of going through a storm. That's contentment. And that creates long lasting change. That's like filling up that tank. So you always have at least a fourth of a tank of gas, because usually a fourth of a tank can get you most places. You at least have a fourth of a tank of gas all the time. And then when you go in and fill up, you have those happy times. Cool. You filling the tank up some more. So I feel contentment is what we should be striving for. Enjoy those happy moments, but don't don't go chasing those happy moments. There's nothing wrong with them. If it's shopping makes you happy, great. But understand you're only going to be happy, it's really the experience of the shopping for most of us. Some of it's the outfit, but most of us is shopping for something new. It's that excitement of something new. But then once you buy it, either you look at the bill later, or you wear it, then that's over. And if we're not careful, you might just keep shopping and shopping because you're trying to recreate that high, right? Or for some people, it's, there's other things that come up that you use as your happy place. Or there's certain relationships that they make you happy, but you're not really content within yourself. So you keep chasing that person. So when God moves that person out of your life, you feel like, well, I can't be happy without them in my life because you haven't invested in your contentment. That's the issue. So many of us chase relationships, and when God moves that relationship out, we're just crushed. It's nothing wrong with being disappointed when people disappoint us. But you can't stay there because God will help you through it. But we get so caught up in that person, so we quickly try to go make another relationship to fill that high because we haven't invested in creating a sense of satisfaction with ourselves, contentment, acceptance within ourselves. So, contentment really is the goal and what we should be working on. And for some of us, it comes really easy, but in others it doesn't, because it's not the way we've lived our life, or we haven't seen it modeled for us in our life. But deep down, we know it's in us, just like our resilience. You're born with resilience. It's just often life creates that bushel or that bush or that damper over your resilience. It makes you feel like you're not resilient, you can't make it, and you can't live life with intention. But you have it in you. You have it in you. It just sometimes gets tarnished. It gets dirtied up by life and heartbreak and disappointment or busyness, but it's in there. And I'm here to help you bring it out. And so I want to continue to help you bring it out as we continue in this journey of overwhelm to resilience. Thank you again for joining me for the Overwhelmed to Resilient podcast. And I will see you next time. Be blessed. Take care.